The surest way to find God is through devote atheism. Now, why is that? Well, I'll tell you. If you use the teachings of our ancestors, for example, in one of the many Bibles, I think there's 5 main religions. We seem to ignore Hindu for some reason, because they're not so violent perhaps. In Buddhism, they get a little bit more of the picture lately. And those are sort of not bad religions. And then we get further west and we get this religion based on, what was his name? Muhammad. Yeah, we're not going to talk much about that. And we're not going to talk much about the Christian Bible, which was the forerunner to the Muhammad story. And the Jewish Hebrew Bible, which was a forerunner to the Christian Bible. And all those 3 are actually one. So when you get down to it, we have Western religion that's sort of on the bridge of the Eastern world. And then there's the farther east that is a little bit more quantum mechanic and not quite so violent. But anyway, I think if you read all 5 of the main religions, you'll find a nice path to walk along and everything will seem to make sense. But I think it's much simpler just to say, no, I do not believe. And with this talent, with this wisdom, even as a young child, you can go and question your universe. And when you question your universe, sometimes there will be answers. And the more answers you get, the closer you are to what we might define as God. And I don't think it's necessary for the atheist to define it as God, because it is just a word. God is just a word. The word God comes most likely from a real human being, man, somewhere out there, and where the whole thing got started. And he probably was very, very powerful and a dictator. Maybe he was well liked. Who knows? But it was definitely a man. And the story that was written definitely made that man into a character in a book. As soon as you take a character and put him in a book, he is no longer the character in reality. So, no matter how objective, which is impossible because there's no such thing as objectivity, not even from a machine, because it will only take a particular angle. I'm not sure if we'll ever get objectivity, perhaps one day. Perhaps a mixture of enough subjectivity will give us a brief, or a roundabout idea to subjectivity. Okay, and are we going to get to God? Yes, just one second. The truth is, when you read your religion, whichever it be, the Holy Scriptures of the Hebrew people, we like to call them, or they like to call themselves Jews or Israelites. They're just words. They're just a bunch of people that are holding on to an idea, just like the Christians are holding on to the idea of Jesus Christ, although they have never stopped to wonder, what did Jesus Christ say? And he kept talking about the Holy Trinity, the Jesus Christ guy, and he said, God the fire, God the mineral, and God the holy water. And of course nobody understood him, because most people at that time, or like most people at this time, stubbornly stupid. Nobody wants to know anything, because they think if they stay in a complicated fairy tale, then their life will have some sort of relevance. Well, it doesn't. Your life is completely and utterly, well, I don't know. It is whatever it is. But anyhow, there is no need for us to believe in things that cannot be verified. There's no sense in it. It's to believe in something that has been written down by aristocrats inside the castle. I mean, how naive do you have to be before you start to wonder, well, maybe they are trying to manipulate us with their fairy tale? And most of these thoughts, of course, come along before anybody even reads the bloody books. Because if anybody ever read the bloody book, they would see it was a bloody book, and it's a bloody fairy tale. It's a bloody porno story. That should get some of you in there, but Moses was a porno king. He was the pimp. He was the murdering pimp. He was a genocide pimp. But he was the main pimp. And he wasn't like the God man that was before him. That was way back. I don't know. It was probably in a different land. It wasn't in Egypt. It might have been the Babylonian man. The man who started Babylon. His name was Goddard. And he made it shorter and called him God. And because he had lots of power, they called him Lord God. And it's just a name. In reality, we are here on a planet. And the planet is about 6 billion years old. The sun is a little older. Probably about 8.6. And the universe is about 13.6. And the point is, get real. Stop believing in fairy tales and get real. The sun, you can see it. It gives us energy. Yes, that's fire. Minerals, we know all of that. Rock, it's all the same thing. It's hard material. Well, at least it appears to be hard material. It's mostly hard space, but it's, for us, in our perception, it is hard. There's resistance there. It's a very strong, some would say, energy field, but they're very small energy fields. Each atom has its own energy field, and it's very hard to penetrate an atom, and when you do, of course, it makes a big boom. And so, I'm not really trying to make any point except for this. It is not necessary to believe in God when you can know it. It's there for the looking, it's there for the seeing, it's there for the touching and tasting and smelling and biting and that sort of thing. So, whatever you think you believe, which is unquestioned, obviously, because you wouldn't believe it if you've questioned it. You wouldn't believe the Bible if you read it, whichever Bible you're reading. There are little treasures in every book. You can read Alice in Wonderland and get a lot more out of life than reading the Bible. So, don't bother with the Bible if you haven't started with it. And if you're 40 or 50 years old and get really bored and need inspiration, well, then go for it. But remember, the point is, whatever you think you believe, you have been taught to believe that. You don't believe it. You just think you believe it. And that is not real. Get to know what's going on. Get to know your God. And realize that an atheist has the same God as any religious leader would have if they were honest. Because most of those people, they realize that the story is a story, and they teach it to you so that you will follow them and give them your money. It's a business. It's a big, bad lie business. And it's not good for anyone. Get over it. Does that make any sense? Yeah. We're it.